My guest today is Rosie May Bird Smith, an emerging British comedy director renowned for her distinctive style that seamlessly blends humor with heart. Now, working across film and commercials and specializing in script writing, film craft, and comedy, over the last 5 years, she has produced a range of high profile films for some of the world's largest and most influential brands. Now, Rosie won the Young Directors Award in Cannes in 2023 and the Best New Director at Creative Circle in 2024. But it's Rosie's new short film, the hilarious dark comedy Egg Timer, has an incredible cast, including Kerry, Godliman, and Lauren O'Rourke, featured wearing giant ovarian egg costumes, and Ella Bruccoleri from Bridgeton and Paddington 3, who plays the lead. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the incredible Rosie May Bird Smith and her amazing short film, Egg Timer, to the show. Welcome, Rosie.
God, what an introduction. Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I loved this short film, Egg Timer, so much. It is one of the
Oh,
few
thank you.
comedies that made me literally laugh out loud. And does this film contain a bit of personal truth for you?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I don't know what writer would say that something that they've written doesn't, to be honest, because I feel like, yeah, I feel like whenever you write, it's just inevitable that bits of your home truth come through. So yeah, I think it definitely does. Try to not make it too personal, but yeah, there are definite hints in there of own life trials and tribulations without whilst bearing in mind that you want to stay friends with all your friends. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was just, and with this film, there was so much to see, there's so much to watch. And Meg, in particular, she was not happy at her own birthday party. Seems that she was tired of hearing the same questions year after year. And what I loved with actress Ella Bruccoleri, her acting was so good in this film that it was her eyes that conveyed much of her feeling while her words said something different. So, how did you, when it came to writing the script and writing the dialogue for this, how much more emphasis was it put on Ella to bring that character to life?
I think it was always important that we found somebody um, whose eyes said a lot. It's also quite important to me that even though she was the protagonist, she wasn't necessarily um, all of her everything that she was saying was also overshadowed by everybody else. So even though she was the protagonist, it didn't really feel like she was. It felt like she was just an audience for everybody else's opinions, which she did very well. She's a fantastic actress. Absolutely love working with her. She's doing incredibly at the moment, and yeah, I think she just did it exceptionally well. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
she's a joy to work with.
her acting truly helped tell this story. And I, I even rewatched the film again because I've seen this film multiple times, but I rewatched it again today before our interview because I wanted just to really watch Ella. And there is a scene in the kitchen. The look on her face in the kitchen said so much. She really was reevaluating her life and her life choices, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. And that was the intention. It was also, it's not supposed to be, I think a lot of shorts are like very heavy, and it's not supposed to be like that. It's just supposed to be, she's obviously not having the best of times, but it's not supposed to be a really, really heavy short. There's just supposed to be comments in there that you may pick up on. But the way that she conveys it, and especially in that kitchen scene, is quite profound. And she doesn't have to do much. She's just munching on some crisps, which is quite nice.
Well, it was that close up of her in the kitchen. You know, she kind of grabbed a bowl of the snacks, the little wheels that
Yeah.
she was munching on, but it was the look in her eyes. You could literally almost look into her soul as to what she
Yeah.
was thinking. And when I saw that scene, I was like, oh, she does. It's like she doesn't even want to be at her own birthday party,
No,
and
definitely not. She definitely doesn't want to be there.
because it was funny because I was listening to the dialogue of the other characters, and you covered just about every single thing someone would say to a single woman. There was planning a wedding, there was having a child, there was raising a child, there was stick with your current boyfriend, either because that's all you're going to get, or it's more about success and financial security. And what was it like writing the script for Egg Timer and then coming up with all of those scenarios?
Quite easy to be honest. I think the more that you, to be fair to my family, they're not really like that, so that's great. But I think the conversations that you're around when you turn 30, but not even when you're 30, just like in your early 30s, late 20s, um, I think it does very suddenly shift. There's like a very sudden shift. Um, like you're previously, talking about like who you got with in the club, and then all of a sudden you're talking. The conversation like completely pivots to like, um, you know, upgrading to a family car and things like that, and it's very fast. So I think it wasn't necessarily that difficult to write because you do just pull a lot of it from life. So
Well,
yeah.
from the mental aspect, and I think this goes with either men or women. Um, but once you hit 30, you're thinking, okay, now for the next 30 years, you've already passed the child stage, the teenage years, the young adult stage. Now you're looking at what are the next 30 years going to be like? And I think with Meg, she was to me, when I watched the film, she was envisioning what the next 30 years were going to be like.
Hmm.
And I think that's when there was this sudden mental change in evaluation that she was going through, not only just with the birthday party, but even towards the end of the film.
Yeah, she does have a. There's a nice little narrative arc in there. She has a very big uh, shift. I mean, she was never having a great time. She's not having a great time through the through the entire thing. But I think it's kind of the realization that she comes to the end, which is quite open to interpretation. But she definitely does have a realization of sorts.
Well, I loved the five eggs, the ovarian eggs. Their comedy was was spot on. I mean, their conversations sound more like a mother pressuring her child to get married and give her grandchildren. Um, one egg says that Meg doesn't really love her boyfriend Johnny, and another tells the egg that you're being too selective. We only want the sperm, and that made me laugh out loud, and I just loved it. So for you, when it came to, because it's almost like watching two short films in one. You have the
Yeah,
Meg
yeah.
story and you have the ovarian eggs story. You must have had a fun time writing the dialogue for the ovarian eggs.
Yeah, I did. I did have a very fun time doing it. I think it came quite quickly, to be honest. I was like quite adamant that I wanted these five women who were playing the eggs, and I wanted to do it all in camera. But I also wanted them to be very different in personality. So I was like, I wanted to like represent every type of woman, or as much as I could, um, in personality wise, in the eggs. So the dialogue like flowed because a bossy one interacting with a one who's not fully there or like a bit away with the fairies interacting with one who's dying like it was quite easy because yeah, they all had their own quirks, which was fun
Well, it was
to
funny because
spot.
one of them was freaking out because it's like, we lost 15,000 of us this past
Yeah.
year, and then one of the eggs, I thought one of the funniest lines, and it was said without laughter, which made it even funnier, was the one that the one egg at the bottom that doesn't really have a personality, and she goes, "So uncles and cousins are okay?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's the one who's a bit dipsy. Yeah, that was so that was improvised, which was lovely. We did like the script as scripted, but obviously they were all five brilliant comedians, so the intention was always to let them go. So then I'd just present them like with scenarios, and then they would riff off that. So that bit was actually something that was never gonna be done, which was lovely.
So when you're directing the five ovarian eggs, so you were basically setting up the scene mentally for them as to what they're going to be, where their sections are going to be placed on in the film. So you go from Meg, then you go to them. So is that how you directed their scenes?
Yeah, I think we can't really remember exactly what the schedule was, but we did try and run it chronologically. We obviously had a an egg day, so it wasn't like we were like running from the house to the studio. It was like just an egg day. Um, so yeah, I'd like give them the precursor of like what was happening in the scene, but they were all very familiar with the script, and then we would just yeah, and then we'd play that out as it was scripted, and then I often offer them different lines. So I was like, I'd prepped a load of lines that weren't scripted that I thought might flow better, and then we'd also let them have time for improv. So at the end of like every scene, we'd aim for like half an hour where they would just do whatever they wanted. Which is, oh yeah, it just always works very well, especially when you've got talent of that level. It's good.
So that must have been a really fun day to film with all five of them. So y'all must have been laughing on set the whole time.
Yeah, it was very funny. Yeah, yeah, it was good. Hard because the outfits were not comfortable. So they were all like all of their necks were like in absolute agony. So we had to like give them like neck breaks.
Oh, so
Poor,
that
stuff.
whole ovarian egg costume is, so it was very heavy for them?
Oh, it was so heavy. Yeah, it was basically like paper mache, but like about 50 layers. And then with all of the effects on the top. Yeah, they were really weighty. And so they would like press on the back of their necks. So we had to keep giving them like breaks for their necks. So yeah, not ideal.
Well, how
But
long
you
did
know,
it
that's what happens when you don't have £3 million.
so how long did it take to create the costumes?
Do you know what? It was actually quite quick in the end. I think like co- concept obviously took quite a while, and like references and um but when we actually got down to it, we encountered a few hiccups of like how do we I was really set that the face would be like the nucleus, so the face would be like right in the middle, but that's not actually very practical if you think about how you get a head like in the middle of like a massive circle. um and they went all the way back as well. They were like 3D. So um yeah, it was but once they actually got down to it, I think they took about 3 weeks. And once they'd got like the first prototype done, it was quite easy. But the first one, yeah, the first one was quite hard. Oh
So,
god.
so you had five of them. Did you have to make up a backup version?
Did we? I mean, they probably should have, but I don't think they did. I don't think we had time. No, I don't think they did in the end. And we were like cutting them because we didn't have a day of like we didn't have a wardrobe day, so we were cutting them. Oh, have I frozen? Oh, hello.
Nope, you're good.
we good? Okay, yeah. So they were cutting them like on the morning. So they were like cutting the whole faces like on the morning, which was yeah, a challenge in itself.
Wow. I mean, it just works so beautifully in this film. But I want to bring up Meg's boyfriend Johnny.
Yeah.
When I watched his scenes, he he's really a self-centered cad is the way I looked at it.
Um, I think it was always like very important to me that Johnny was he wasn't a nasty person, and I didn't want the reason that she left to be like solely him. Or oh, I've just given it away. But yeah, I didn't want the reason that yeah, it was very important that he wasn't nasty. He was just maybe a little bit clueless about
Yeah.
like how
Yeah,
to
I
treat a
look
woman.
yeah, I looked at it as clueless. I looked at it as um
Slightly selfish.
selfish, non-romantic. Um
Yeah.
he doesn't he's young, he doesn't really understand. I think he's comfortable thinking that everything works, but she's not comfortable anymore because she knows it's not working for
Mhm.
her. And but then when as the scene moves on, it really got funny because the ovarian eggs, the look on their faces when they heard the word condom, that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was always supposed to be a bit where, I think it's always quite nice for like another narrative arc for they're not really protagonists, they're just kind of bystanders, like that are cheerleading, but they were obviously very excited. And then we have like such excitement followed by like such disappointment. So yeah, it was quite a nice bit to write.
But that's funny how you created the contrast between what Meg wants and what the ovarian eggs want.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love the contrast. I love the conflict. Um, and I love the way that you used humor to convey both sides of that. And and one of the things that really made me laugh was the look on the faces of the ovarian eggs during sex and the rocking back and forth was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun one to film.
So now, when you're sitting in when you've had a couple of screenings on this film and sitting in the theater with the audience, are they laughing in the right places?
Yes, luckily, actually. I think it's always interesting because I always do like quite a lot of tests. So, like I'll cut a scene. Oh, we spent so long editing this, bless my poor editor. But we cut a scene like many ways, and then we'll like bring in, well, we'll send it to the execs, but then we'll also like bring in like three runners that haven't really got any clue what's going on, and we'll be like, you know, watch the scene this way, now watch it this way, now watch it this way. And most of the time, like all three of them, because they're like so distant from it, will agree. So that was really helpful. So by the time you actually get it into the cinemas, then hopefully you're on the right kind of track. Like obviously everybody finds different things funny, but that's just the beauty of comedy, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. Now, how did you come to cast uh Ella and as well as the and mainly and also the five ovarian egg actors?
So I have a brilliant casting director who also does like a lot of my commercial work, and she's called Emma Garrett, and she did my first short like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And yeah, and so I just asked her if she would want to do another one, and she had like a lot of like female, like a lot of connections in comedy, which is very helpful. She cast like a lot of TV comedy. Um, so yeah, that was great. And then we just reached out and waited to see who wanted to play an ovarian egg. And luckily, some people did, so that's always helpful.
Well, you
Yeah.
got you got some pretty great actors to play the ovarian eggs because you had Kerry Godliman, you had Polly Kemp, you had Kate Robbins, you had Lauren O'Rourke. So you have great actors for the ovarian eggs, and it always amazes me because with parts like that, I've always kind of wondered what the actors are thinking of saying yes.
Yeah, so did I. I was very surprised, to be honest. Yeah, when we said it out, I was like, obviously no one's going to want to do this. And then when Kerry said, yeah, I'll play an ovarian egg, I was like, you are crazy. But like, obviously I was buzzing. So, yeah, yeah, it was a very nice atmosphere on the day as well. They all had a real laugh apart from the sore necks, so that obviously helped.
So what did they think when they first saw the ovarian egg costumes?
I think I think we like omitted it from conversation. They knew that like they were going to be we like put like you'll be like dressed up and there'll be some sort of headgear, but I don't think they realised like quite how like large they'd be. And then we did actually send them pictures like a few days before, and they were all actually very excited. But that was before they got them on, and they realised that they absolutely stank, and obviously also weighed a ton. So props to those five gals.
Well, how long did it take all five of once you got all five together and then they put on the costume? How long did it take for them to kind of get used to the costume before you started filming their dialogue?
Oh, we had like absolutely no time. So like all of the egg stuff was only a day, and by the time that we'd like prepared them all and done all like hair and makeup and got their hair into like such a slick bun so that like no hairs were coming through the seams, and by the time that we'd done all that, like we literally had like I don't know from like I think it was like 12 till like 5:30 or something. So we had like no, like it was really quick and it was really hard as well. Um, but they were brilliant and they did adapt very quickly. But yeah, obviously with shorts you always would prefer a longer schedule.
Yeah, yeah, everybody does. Now you filmed their parts in one day. How long did it take to film the birthday party?
That was 2 days. So we had like 3 days in total, one in the studio and two in the house. So it was very quick. Um, and yeah, and obviously things get cut and you have to just work with it. But we got all the things that we needed to tell a story, which is important.
Well, you had a large cast. I mean, what was it like
Yeah.
directing, especially when you did the camera close-ups of each of the guests, as if they were talking face to face with Meg or in a way getting into her head, so to speak. Um, that, I mean, was that difficult?
Yes. Yes, it was exceptionally difficult. I've said before, but I've been quite spoiled on the sets that I've been on in the last like 3 4 years because they're always like big commercials with big budgets and lots of time, or like definitely the time that you'd need in order to shoot a 30-second commercial. Whereas when you're doing like a 15-minute film and you've basically got the same amount of time that you have to shoot a 30-second commercial, it's a lot harder, especially when the crew is like a skeleton crew and you have, I think at one point we had like 50 people in like one lounge and it was just horrible. Like I couldn't even hear myself think, let alone like give direction. And there was like kids and balloons, and it was just like a lot. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't be repeating that experience anytime
Yeah,
soon. But
this is,
yeah,
yeah, Egg Timer has to be one of my favorite comedies this year. And I've seen more
oh,
comedy
thank
short
you.
films, but this one really made me laugh out loud. And
Oh, thank you so much.
yeah, I mean, it's almost, this is what's funny about this short film. It's almost like you want to see a spin-off just with the five ovarian eggs.
Yeah, should we try and get Netflix to commission that? People do keep saying like, oh, is this like a example for a feature. And I'm like, no, you can't expand this. there's no expanding. I can't see how this would be. But fair play. I mean, the ovarian eggs could have a life of their own, I guess.
Well, has anybody brought up the idea of looking at Egg Timer as a full-length feature? Because I can see that it could be that way.
Really? Oh no, no, we have no. To be fair, but people have asked if that's like was the intention, um, but that was never the intention. I think, yeah, I think often when shorts go to features, you can see how um, they like struggle to pad it out, and I feel like I would definitely feel the same
Yeah,
because there's only a certain amount of things that ovarian eggs can say at the end of the day.
yeah, I can tell the difference between a short film that is a true short film, which Egg Timer is, and then you can tell those that are proof of concepts for wanting to do a feature. And
Yeah.
um, but I could kind of see. I mean, well, in a way, you kind of brought up Netflix. I mean, in a way, this would probably be a great 8 episode series.
8. I think you struggled to stretch it to one, but I really like your ambition. I mean, thank you.
Well, there's so much that could be written because I know with features lately, especially independent features, I'm seeing a lot of them to where they're very, very slow. And with a
Yeah, yeah,
comedy,
that's
yeah, you have to, with a comedy, you have to be quick. You want to be entertaining, and it's like with your short film Egg Timer. The pacing between the scenes with Meg and family and friends at the party, then the ovarian egg sections, everything flowed so smoothly, and I even loved it at the very very end of the film that you brought the eggs in at the very end.
yeah, I'm glad you spotted that. Yeah, luckily when you're in a cinema, when you send it to people, I feel like people might skip past that. But when you're in a cinema, they're like forced to watch the credits, and then at the end, you're like, haha. Yeah, that was just we just had like some footage of them singing, and I was like, well, that would be funny post credits. So we managed to get that in there.
Yeah, I think post credit clips really really work. Of course, real film goers will stay to the very end.
Yeah, of course. But maybe not if you're like sending it online. But yeah, in the cinema, they're forced to stay, aren't they? So
Well, tell me about now. I know, spoiler alert, but tell me about the ending scene where Meg is walking down the middle of the street. The thing that caught my not just my eye, what caught my ear was the song in that scene really brings
mm.
the whole perspective of her life change, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love that song. We were very lucky. We had some music supervisors on board, a company called Pitch and Sync, and I can't remember what song I gave them as a reference. Maybe like On My Way or something. I think it was that. Or I made a playlist with a wide variety of songs, quite a lot old classics, like Petunia Clark and different, very, very old songs, to be fair. And then at the end, I was just very adamant that it had like a bit of magic, a bit of nostalgia, a bit of hope. And so yeah, they sent me that, and I'd never heard it. And as soon as I played it, I just absolutely loved it. And then we were hoping that they were that he was going to say yes, and he did. So that was really lovely.
Yeah, it was a perfect way to end that scene, and with her walking down the street, I guess that is really the metaphor for Meg that she wants a new road.
Yeah, I think it's just a new life stage, isn't it? And it's not supposed to be particularly didactic or profound. It's just the next stage of life. And also, you don't even know whether she's like left for good. I think that's also open to interpretation. But I think you just know that she's made up her mind to change things.
Well, when she was wrestling a bit and trying to sleep, and then when she leaves, I think well, it wasn't. It's the fact that she knew that everything in her life was no longer working for her,
Hmm.
and she
Yeah,
knew if I don't make the choice now, I'm never going to know.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think you summed it up nicely there.
Well, tell me, is Egg Timer, is it both BAFTA and BIFA qualified?
It is, yeah, which is very nice. So we'll see how that goes. We're just actually just kicking off the run, really, but it's started well, so fingers crossed.
So how many screenings again has this film been have seen in festivals?
Um, I think we've just received our like 21st. So that's nice. So we've got um Aesthetica this month, Norwich, Evolution, Mallorca, and Dallas next week. Um, I obviously won't be going to all of them, but yeah, a nice spread. And it's also always nice to just have feedback, isn't it? Like when people reach out and say like, "Oh, I saw it in Folkestone or something." You're like, "Oh, that's nice." Um, so yeah.
And well, it's a great film, but I have to ask Rosie, what was it like working with Slick Films?
Oh, fantastic. They're so lovely. It was a strange one because it was a split production because we won the Outstanding Screenplays Fund. So it was like split between Outstanding Screenplays, Slick Films, and then my production company, which is Biscuit Filmworks, and an associate production company, which is called Bridget. So yeah, it was split between all of them, but where Slick came in so strong was obviously with all of the like post help and the festival strategy. And they obviously just know everybody in this wonderful world, so it's always very helpful. And Chris and Rachel are just absolutely lovely. So yeah, yeah, really, really lucky to have that connection. I think I realised as well, like we went to Bolton the other weekend to watch it screen, and they were like hosting their film fund competition, and it just like hits home like how like it makes you very grateful to have been given that opportunity. So yeah, really lovely group of people.
Yeah, I think Chris, Rachel, and the rest of the team at Slick Films, they are becoming, well, I should say, the king of high quality short films.
Yes, yeah.
So
Also
what's
helps that they
next?
have an Oscar under their belt as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that helps a lot. So what's
That
next for
helps.
Egg Timer?
What's next? What in terms of festival?
Festivals, the future, or and I guess right now, what you starting BAFTA campaigning of what they
Yeah, so
allow?
yeah, we've entered. Yeah, you're not allowed to, are you? So no lobbying, but vote for us. Um, but yeah, I think we'll just see where it goes. Yeah, we've just I cannot reveal which, but we've just got into a very exciting festival, which I'm so happy about. So we'll be flying out to there in February. And yeah, and then we'll just see. We'll just see. We'll see who wants to option 5 ovarian eggs for
Well, I think this film has a
a
great
whole
future.
series.
Yeah, I mean, I think Egg Timer has a great future, and of course, like you said, with BAFTA, no lobbying allowed. It's not like the Oscars where you can basically spend a fortune campaigning. So I really wish the Academy would adopt the BAFTA rules. It would make life easier for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
But again, Egg Timer is such a fantastic film. And ladies and gentlemen, BAFTA and BIFA qualified Egg Timer, the latest dark comedy short film from award winning director Rosie May Bird Smith. Now, Egg Timer is a witty dark comedy centered around the social pressures of women to have children by a certain age. But as Meg approaches her 30th birthday, the expectation to take the next step in life starts to feel overwhelming. But just as she's grappling with opinions from family and friends, her own outspoken ovarian eggs start weighing in, unfiltered, relentless, and impossible to ignore. Now, caught between external pressures and the hilariously brutal commentary from within, Meg must decide whose voice to listen to. Now, this short film is laugh out loud funny, and we need more of that in the short film genre. But Egg Timer is truly a poignant film for all women who enter the stage in their life when the biological clock starts to count down. And the pressures of being a woman are often being ignored by society today, as we don't live in the 1950s anymore, where people got married when they were, well, 18, 19 years old and had a kid the next year. But our world today is full of independence, and we see the spark of independence in Meg in Egg Timer. Yes, her clock is ticking, but I feel her real clock was not a biological one, but a clock where you find your real self. And the only alarm we need to listen to is the one that goes off in our heart. And Rosie, I want to thank you
Oh,
so much for sharing this amazing short film with me today.
oh, thank you so much for having me. That was a lovely chat, and so lovely to meet you.
And you as well. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at a film festival and Egg Timer is there in the block, make sure you are sitting in the theater to see one of the funniest short films we have had the opportunity to enjoy in 2025. And ladies and gentlemen, you can catch all of the Bond on Cinema interviews on bondoncinema.com. Check out our Prime show, our YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on your way to work or play on Spotify, iTunes, Audible, and more. And remember, you'll either see me at the movies or on the red carpet.